I am being pulled into 5D more than ever. I can see it. I can feel it. Something huge is coming very soon. As always, more than ever now, question your reality and then change it. ThunderWizard.com is the website that supports this YouTube channel. Go check out all of the ways that you can subscribe and empower yourself. Books can be found at michaelwilliamdenny.com. Every Wednesday and Saturday, the most important thing anybody on earth can be doing right now is to do these live guided interdimensional meditations. 8:30 p.m. Wednesdays and Saturdays. You can also go to the live section on the YouTube channel, watch the videos after they've been uploaded. Just do them. Hello, my friends. Something huge is happening. Something huge. I am here to tell you that the Ascension is happening. What exactly that means, how that's going to progress, I don't know, but I do know that it is happening. I'm going to be walking through a list. We should upload that now. Let's upload the... Just give me a second here. Forgive me for not being completely prepared as I put this together. But there it is. All right. So, this is my list. We're going to talk about that. Let me do my thing first and explain what is happening. If you've been following the channel, maybe you have other things to do. But in case you've been following the channel recently, there's been a lot been going on with me, as has been the case for the past 2.5 years. Nothing new about that. But something happened a couple of days ago when 2-3 days ago, where I just realized that something was different, that there was a negativity within me that was just gone. This has happened before. I've had this feeling that something in my brain, something negative, was just gone. And this happened on a deeper level. This one was more emotional and deep in my body, and I just felt my body was lighter almost. And I realized that that I had a new feeling of openness and expansion, hope, and relaxation and freedom. It wasn't like I was all giddy and loopy, before. When I've been taken to 5D, I get very giddy and loopy. It wasn't so much that. There was just a calm peace and an active joy that was there that wasn't being blocked by anything. I wasn't having any anxiety response to what I was experiencing, which was strong solar energies that we've been having. The anxiety that has been associated with that, which I've had to consciously relax into. I've been telling myself I am ascending, and then I can get deeper into the energy and it increases. I just realized that the anxiety wasn't there. It wasn't that I wasn't human anymore. I still got, cranky about things. I was still, could get into judgment. I could still do all the normal things, stub my toe and, normal human stuff. But a lot of it just didn't have the weight that it normally has. And I was able to get out of negative thinking much more quickly. Didn't stop being human, but there was just a freedom there and a peace that I haven't seen in a long time. Now, along with that, of course, I'm getting more and more downloads. Light beings are coming to me still every day, and as they do very often, they will say, we've got there's more energy coming. We're going to be coming in the next few days and giving you more energy and more experiences and more awakening. And I get used to those messages and I go, okay. Um, I've been really, for at least a couple of days, I was very emotional and I was like weeping, like deep weeping over the idea of becoming aware that um, I'm letting go of the sadness and the grief and the shame that I've been carrying apparently for thousands of years because of what happened 13,000 years ago. And I've accepted, every time I get to a point and I accept what they tell me, oh yeah, you're king of earth. You were king of earth. You were king of Atlantis and you were king over all of the earth and you made some pretty, I'm calling it big mistakes. You made some mistakes based on some decisions you made that caused the earth to come crashing down and created the infrastructure for the current dark force elites, and you will have to balance that. Your karma is to balance that by being king again in 5D. Now, obviously, none of that is being 3D, physically activated. So I'm not like in delusion. I know I'm still a normal 3D person right now. I just have been navigating, tax problems with the state of California. So I'm not unaware of that. But I accept what they say now. And I say yes to it and I accept it. And then as soon as I say yes to one thing, okay, yep, I'm going to be king of earth. I was king of earth before, and not only that, I was this higher dimensional being that was like this demigod on earth, and okay, I can accept that, and I accept that as being true. Whether I see it physically or not, I go ahead and accept that, and then there's some expansion, and then they've come with other stuff which I haven't talked about, and I suppose I'm going to have to get over my false humility and talk about it. It's just so unbelievable. But they have said, yeah, not only were you a demigod, but you were, and then they go on to all these other things. And the long and short of it is that apparently I have a huge, huge, massively huge role in not only what will be happening in 5D, but in bringing 5D to the world. So I accept that. I say yes to that. And then, I told you about this song that I, heard from the 90s. I remembered it. One of Us by, is it Joan Osborne? And, what if God was one of us, just a slob like one of us, just a stranger on the bus trying to make his way home? I said that, and a little bit of sadness came up, but I just listened to that song a few times yesterday and the day before, and I just wept and I cried, and it was about I've been denying who I am for thousands of years because of that shame, the shame of making the mistakes that I made, which crashed Earth into the Dark Ages, and letting that go and allowing myself to heal and to accept. I've been walking around for thousands of years thinking I'm a horrible person. Really, lots of unforgiveness towards myself for that, and so I've forgiven myself for those honest mistakes, and that's what it was. I was a human being with my own experiment. Just we all come here with we're all gods, and we come to Earth with our own 3D consciousness experiments that we go through over many lifetimes, and that was my experiment, and I made some choices, and they ended up not working out the way that I wanted to, and they were technically mistakes, but I inadvertently created a scenario where human beings could learn even more because it created more darkness here. And if I go higher than that, that was the plan the whole time. That was what it was all about. So my big lesson right now is dropping the false humility, accepting who I was and who I am. And ironically, the more that I do that, the more humble I feel and the more love I feel, and my heart expands. I mean, I can't now, if I'm trying to watch television and any violence comes on, I can't watch it. I break down. Just the tiniest little things like, little kids being happy and having fun. I break down. Animals. I've just turned into this really soft, squishy person, and and it's like it's challenging to be in this world. I want to be in a world where there isn't any of those things, and I'm determined to create a world where there's no pain, no devaluation, no harm comes to anybody or any living thing. There won't be any sadness, unnecessary sadness or pain in the world that I create, and I can't wait to get there, just so that I don't have to be so vulnerable to all of this. The more love I allow myself to expand into, the more difficult it becomes. But I'm learning how to die to my false humility, because again, ironically, the more I accept the grandiosity of what I'm told, strangely, the more loving I become, and the more non-judgmental, and the more compassionate, and the more humble I become. So I've got some weird things. One of the I'll have to talk about it at some point, but one of my things that I started thinking about a while back, was, all right, so if you guys are telling me that I'm this king, and I was king of earth, and I was like this demigod, that ruled the earth and all that stuff, and now I'm going to come back and be king of earth again. I said, how come there aren't any prophecies about me? I can't think of any. Jesus' second coming, that doesn't sound like me at all. Let's see, what is the Vedic one of, the latest, the last Vishnu incarnation, Kalki, that doesn't sound like me. The Hopi prophecy of the Bahana, that doesn't sound like me. I don't, to my knowledge, I don't have any missing fragment of some text that they have when you put it. I don't have that. It's the elder white brother, lost elder white brother. Well, I'm white. That could be me, but and comes from the east. I'm not from the east. I was born west of the Hopi lands, and so that doesn't sound like me. Other than being a white guy. Other than that, none of it sounds like me. I don't know what the other prophecies are, but strangely enough, there is one prophecy that sounds 90% exactly like me. About 10% that doesn't. But that can be explained away. And I'm not ready to talk about that yet because it's so weird. It's just so unexpected and weird. But I stumbled across that, and the light being said, yep, they're talking about you. So I'm working to expand into that. Something's coming really fast, and anyway, so let's get into the list here. Where was I? Is this it? Yeah. So I feel like we're being pulled into the 5D. The ascension is happening now. We're in it. Whether there's going to be a final event that shifts everything, I hope there is. It's my hope that I like the idea of the solar flash event. I like the idea of a big flash of light that everybody sees and experiences, and there's a shift. And I like that idea. So I hope that that happens. I don't have any information personally from my interactions that that's going to be the case. I've gotten hints, something like that, but I can't say for sure that I know that to be true. However, I do know that I am shifting, and I am not the same. I am changing in very real ways. I'm still human. I'm still me. It's not like I've turned into somebody else. I'm awakening to larger memories and realities within myself and outside of myself. And as I said, the biggest changes, the negative parts of my personality are like melting away. Now, maybe this is temporary. Maybe it'll come back. Again, I'm not attached to any of it. But I can honestly say, absolutely, I've never been at this place psychologically or spiritually my entire life, not even close. And so I can feel that something is coming, something huge. And it feels like we just recently, in the past few days, just entered to a new, if you want to call it a timeline. We're not in the same timeline anymore. Something is very different, and it feels very positive, and I have hope for the future. So my suggestion is to work with the light beings every day. They're coming to me every day, but if they weren't, I would be seeking them out in meditation. So I recommend that you do that. The light beings, because they are in a higher dimension, just by your physical interaction with their energies, you will shift. If you keep working with them, you can't help but expand and shift. So I recommend that everybody do that. If you don't know what that means, show up every Wednesday and Saturday, 8:30 p.m., or go and do the live. On the live portion of the channel, go do the recorded. Doesn't matter which ones, any of the live guided interdimensional meditations. And consciously do it with the intention of, I want to make contact with light beings and communicate with them and learn from them. Say yes to whatever they tell you. So I'm here to tell you again, let me give you a different history of the world. And I encourage you to put this into your assumption about the world, and to actively seek to challenge your assumptions. So, the original assumption that we've all had is that we're these third dimensional beings, we're born on earth, we're nothing, we have these tiny little souls, there's a God out there, or the gods are out there, and we're these tiny beings, and we're trapped on earth, depending on your religion, by sin, or by karma, or because false beings of light have trapped you in a reincarnation matrix. That all comes from the assumption that we're small creatures, we're small, even souls, we're small little souls, and that we aren't anything more than just these little human beings. And that is a false experience. It's not that. That is not base reality. Base reality is that all consciousness, including all souls, all conscious beings, whatever they are beings of light, and they are full of love. That consciousness is love. There is no being in this multiverse that has consciousness that is not pure love. It doesn't exist. And these conscious beings, very powerful conscious beings, talking about you, decided that they wanted to create different, what do we call it? Matrices, different, I forget, the word's not coming to me right now, but simulations, virtual reality video games, we wanted to create them, and we made I don't know how many, thousands, millions, billions of them. And we created one which we call planet Earth. So the reason why on Earth we can't see any life out there, when we go looking, with telescopes and everything, trying to find life, we don't find it. It's because we have a very specific frequency. And in that frequency is very dense. And only a select number of conscious beings are allowed to go in there. So we're like isolated in, a chamber. You feel trapped? You are, by choice. You've chosen to go into a chamber that isolates you from the rest of the multiverse. Now, the rest of the multiverse can watch what's happening, and to some degree they can interact with us. If we're open to it and we listen, we might be able to hear and experience them. And we'll call them angels, elves, gods, whatever. But those are our friends out there who are watching us in this simulation. But that isn't base reality. So I want you to change your understanding of reality. We think this is reality and the spirit world is in some other weird place. It's the opposite. We're in the weird place, and the spirit world is the real world. So change that. Do everything you can to change that. What I tell myself on a daily basis is I am a God who has chosen to come into a 3D virtual reality simulation, and I'm experiencing it right now. I'm drinking my kombucha soda. I'm walking in my house, or I'm walking on the beach, or I'm looking at a tree, or whatever it is. That's the video game. And I'm telling myself over and over again, I'm experiencing the video game. That's not my true reality. It doesn't mean I deny the video game. I accept it. I'm here. I'm not dissociating from it. No, I'm here. I'm here to play the game. Let's do it. Let's play this game. And now I'm somebody who is half in and half out. My astral body is in the ethers doing God things. My perception is in the 3D doing 3D human things. And my job is to connect the two. That's my job. That's my job in this game. That's my character now. My character has shifted. Now that's what my avatar does. That's my reality. I tell myself that is the base reality. So if you can allow yourself to accept that, things will be a lot easier. You might have some trouble with that, and let's talk about how we can pull through that. So say yes to whatever they tell you. And they're going to tell you things, again, because this is a simulation. When somebody comes and gives you information of the true reality, it's going to be completely opposite from the reality that you have. So let me give you an example. I've known this for a long time, but a lot of people have come to me and said, I talk to spirits, and I channel spirits, or I'm a whatever, I work with this God or that God. And they'll tell me the things that these spirits supposedly tell them, and they're very destructive. And I say to you, and I'll say to them, wherever that information is coming from, it's not coming from your guides, it's not coming from the gods, it's not coming from anything positive. At best, your own internal self-evaluation is you are repeating that, thinking it's coming from something spiritual. At worst, a lower dimensional being you have allowed into you, and it is telling you negative things. No light being ever gives you anything negative about you. They never say anything that you can perceive as a criticism, ever. And they never say anything negative about anybody else. So if people think, yeah, I'm getting, and the gods told me that this person is evil and that person's an NPC, I can guarantee you that information is not coming from true reality. It's coming from either inside of you or from a lower dimensional being. That deserves another video. Lower dimensional beings aren't souls. They're not demons. They're actually simply emotions that have leaked out and that are running around acting like AI. They think they're alive, but they're not. They're just emotional programs running around. And you let them in because they support your self devaluing third dimensional video game experience that you're supposed to overcome. So anything that makes you a victim, anything that tells you anything negative about yourself or anybody else is only part of the game. You're not getting information from outside. You're not talking to customer service. You're talking to yourself or some other lower being. So when you work with the light beings, they're going to tell you that you are God. They're going to tell you you are a god or a goddess, or you're, a being who creates universes, or you're a being who makes energy grids between different dimensions. They're going to tell you something absolutely freaking crazy, and they're going to come at you and love you. They're gonna, if you allow them, they will just be filled with love about you. They will worship you like a god. That's real reality. Your response is going to go, that can't be real. That's because we've been taught that's what the devil does. We've been taught that the devil comes to you and puffs up your ego. We've been taught that if you're truly spiritual, God says, take your shoes off and bow before me. God does not talk like that. Your ego talks like that. Evil beings talk like that. God does not talk like that. And light beings, angels, don't talk like that. They see you as a God that is more powerful than they are because you're on earth, man. You're one of the beings that went to earth. I'm not worthy. They will bow before you and empower you. But they will only talk to you if you invite them. But by inviting yourself to communicate with higher dimensional beings, you have to be willing to die to your ego. And when you are told, ironically, how powerful you are, how beautiful you are, how loved you are, your initial third dimensional response will be to get angry, to be afraid, and to shut them out and to call them evil. That's going to be your first human response because we're in an upside down world. I look on this now and I know what happened, but when I was 7 years old, I remember some intuition came to me, and I now know it was a light being. And it said, what if God is the devil and the devil is God? And that really messed with me. But they were saying that, the God that you're worshiping in church is actually telling you horrible things, that you're going to burn in hell forever, that you're sinful, that you're no good. You have to bow before him. You have to have no sense of self. You have to have no, all of that. And the devil supposedly comes to you and puffs up your ego and gives you all of your fantasies and tells you that you're more powerful than you are. And they say, Lucifer, he rebelled against God because he was full of pride. That's a distortion. It's the backwards of it. God is like, I can tell you, right now I'm going to speak for God. You can choose to accept it or not, but I'm here to tell you, God will say, if you can be more powerful than me, go for it. I would love to see that. I want you to be powerful. I want you to be bigger than I am. Oh, he would get off on that. She would get off on that, whatever your version of God is. So it's the complete opposite of that. So whatever they tell you, they will only tell you something positive. It's going to be hard for you to hear it. Your false humility and your ego will rebel against it. But I encourage you to say yes and repeat back to them. They come to you and they say, you are a multi-dimensional God that created multiple universes. Your first response is going to be, no, that's not possible. I'm crazy. Only crazy people think like that. Instead of responding with that, repeat back to the being and say, yes, I heard you. You said, I am a God that has created multiple universes. Yes, that is who I am. I accept that. And you will eventually expand into that. And that's what we want. We want to expand into the energy. This, this 5D ascension is an expansion into our divinity. And that is a choice. The people who won't make the shift are people who will say no. And they'll self-righteously think that they're fighting evil. Say yes to whatever they tell you. Die to your fears, your false humility, and your attachments. So I'm getting into that. Your fear is, your deepest fear is to be truly seen and to be truly loved. And when you are seen and loved by a being from a higher dimension, it will, at first, it will feel like it's killing you. You may break down into tears, and you will feel as though you're being destroyed. You may feel like you are rebelling against human beings. You may feel like you're a traitor to the human race. You may feel like you're a blasphemer and you're rebelling against God. You may feel like you're the devil. And that is simply because we are designed in the third dimension to survive here. And to survive in the third dimension means to devalue yourself, be wrapped up in your negative ego, and compete with other people and tell yourself you're a sinful, tiny piece of crap, and you need to compete to survive, and nobody loves you and everybody's out to get you. That's the survival method of the third dimension. So when you're introduced to the flip side, which is everybody is loved, you are not tiny, you're beautiful, you're God, your third dimensional survival instinct will tell you to reject that. And you will have to die to that self-survival instinct. So like Odin died to himself, he sacrificed himself to himself. And that is how he became king of the gods. You're going to become king of the gods when you die to yourself. And yourself is going to tell you you're small and you're little and nobody loves you. So die to that. Die to your false humility. So, an insane person, somebody who's deluded, who truly is deluded, is very attached to their grandiosity. They're attached to it, and in fact, they will violently defend it. And they will come to you and they might say something that sounds like what I'm saying. I am God. I am the true God. And if you say, no, you're not, they will get furious. They will absolutely defend it. They will act as though there's no doubt in them whatsoever. Now, all of that is a lie. They're actually filled with insecurity, and this is a false presentation to hide their self-hatred and their feeling of tremendous unworthiness. So when you're told you're the god of this galaxy, you're the most important goddess that ever existed, you're the whatever they say to you like that, your first response is going to be, I'm losing my mind. I'm going crazy. If you have that, if that's your first response, it means that you're not crazy. Crazy people respond and say, they get attached to the idea and they go out and they self-righteously try and prove it to everybody. The person who's being told this and they're not going crazy keeps it to themselves, and they say, I'm not going to tell anybody this because it's crazy. I think I'm losing my mind. I must be losing my mind because that's crazy. That's how you know it's true. And so you have two choices. Either you are losing your mind, you are legit bonkers, and you're deluded, and you've had a psychotic split from reality, or we're living in a false uh, illusion. And you really are a god out there playing a video game. So those are your two choices. You're either a tiny little human being that's trapped in this world, and there are all these other more powerful beings out there, and you're this little nothing. And that's reality. Or you're a god and you're playing a video game pretending to be this limited third dimensional person. Those are your two choices. So you get to pick one. If you choose the safe path, you will choose to be a tiny little worthless piece of garbage in the third dimension, and you need to have a mortgage and a job and money and reputation, and that's the game. That's the virtual reality game, which is being deleted. If you choose the easy path, that's where you're going to go. If you choose the hard path, then you will die to your false humility, which is really your ego, telling you that you're this tiny little nothing piece of garbage. That's your ego talking. You will take the hard path, and you will fight against that, and you will expand into the totally crazy, grandiose, unbelievable truth of your existence. This is expanding into the Ascension. You have to die to your attachments. Your attachments tell you that you're not worthy to be given everything that you need. You have to go fight for it in some way. You have to pick one. Are you a tiny little being that is worthless and is sinful and deserves death and go to hell forever and all of the karma, you have to live out all these karmas? Or are you a god who is simply playing a video game? Those are your two choices. And if the truth is that we are a god playing a video game, then we're actually insane to think we're these little tiny beings. That's the insanity. So yeah, you can either be sane or insane. In the third dimensional reality, to be sane is to believe that you're nothing and there isn't anything out there. It's insane to believe that you're a god. That's insanity in the third dimensional video game. In reality, it's insane for a god to think they're a tiny little meaningless nothing. So either way, you're going to have to pick which insanity you're going to reject. You want to be in this reality, then you're going to have to reject being a god. You want to move beyond this reality, you're going to have to reject the insanity of this reality that says you're a little nothing nobody. So die to your fears, false humility, and attachments. It's not easy to let go of your fears. Your fears are there to protect you. So it's going to be hard to let go of them. Die to your fears, what else did I say? Your false humility and your attachments. Your attachments to what you think you need. Oh, I just started going to med school. I just started going to business school. Oh, I just started my IT studies. Oh, I just started a business, and I have all these taxes to pay, and I need to make more money so what happens, somebody who's retired. I've just spent 50, 60 years building up all this equity, and now I have this retirement fund, and you're telling me now I got to let go of all that? I got to live in a world where there's no such thing as money? You got to let go of whatever your attachments are. And that means completely trusting the universe to take care of you. In my fantasy of 5D, there's no money. And in my fantasy of 5D, I don't own anything. I don't own anything. And I'm king. That means I get to live in, big, giant king stuff and have all kinds of king stuff, but I don't own any of it. And I'm prepared to give it away to whoever comes along that will do a better job than me. I just want to be happy and have all my physical needs met, and to have have love and be able to serve and live in nature. That's it. That's the only thing I personally want. But I don't want to own anything. So maybe I'm dying to all that. You got to die to whatever your attachments are. Imagine the new world. Spend time thinking about the unbelievable, totally childhood fantasy world. I live in a world, in my fantasy world, My 5D world, it looks like a lot like Pandora from the movies, from the Avatar movies. At nighttime, everything glows, and you step, and the sparkles and the little things fly around, and there's just everything is glowing, and there's rainbows coming out of everything. I look up in the sky, and there's rainbow galaxy stars, and even when the sun is out during the day, the light sparkles and refracts rainbows everywhere. I'm absolutely going as deep into my, that's why I'm so attracted to all the rainbow colors. That's where I want to live. That's my fantasy, and I'm not holding back on any of it. So put some effort into that, because if you are a god living in a simulation, then you need to create a new one, since this one's getting deleted. So spend time doing that. What have you got to lose? What's the worst thing that could happen? Worst thing that could happen is that you'll have a rich inner emotional life. And that's what all psychologists tell us we should have. So what have you got to lose? Expand into the unbelievable 5D truth about you. Expand into it. I'm expanding into it. I haven't said specifically yet. It was hard enough for me to tell you guys I'm king of the world. that I'm a demigod king of the world that helped to create Earth, and now that was hard enough to admit that that's what I was told. But that's expanded. Now it's into stuff that's even more unbelievable and grandiose, and I have to expand into that to the point where I can die to my ego and tell you without being afraid, and without feeling embarrassed, and without worrying whether or not it turns out to be true, and not caring whether it's true or not. I'm working on expanding into that. So I share this with you because I do believe that I am at least one of the people who are anchoring in this new 5D world, and that I am pulling the human race into it. So I got to go first. Now, I don't need to be the only one, but I know I'm at least one of the few who are doing that. And so I'm doing my best to set an example, as well as share my process, because it's going to be the same as yours, and to know you're not crazy. The things that you see in me that you relate to, I'm doing it too, but I'm choosing to accept it. I've accepted the new reality, and I'm expanding into it. All right, so Ascension is happening now. That's my message, my big message. I'm really excited to see what happens today. If you're watching this after the election, you already know whatever timeline we've created. I'm still, it's still 2 o'clock Eastern time on the 5th of November, so people are out there voting. I'll be very interested to see what happens, but it's very likely this will be the last presidential election. There may not be another one after this. And I think we're very close to coming to the new world. Everything's going to change. How that's going to happen, we decide. I'm going to go big. I'm going to expect big. If I have any say over it, I'm going to delete this third dimensional world and create the most beautiful 5D fantasy world I can possibly imagine. And I encourage you to do the same. Go big. Don't wait around for something to happen. Talk to the light beings, get hooked up, and start creating it and fantasizing it. Please join me tomorrow and every Wednesday and Saturday to do these live guided interdimensional meditations. Create your own meditation groups. The more that we do that now, the faster it'll come. That's it, my friends. Thank you so much for your time. I love you all. I appreciate you all. I worship all of you. And I'm so grateful that you've allowed me to exist in your reality. And please be very good to yourself. I will see you all very soon.